Strategic Management Coursework 2. The following presentation seeks to identify and critically evaluate the strategic and non-strategic decision-making process with use of examples implemented by the multinational California-based corporation Apple Incorporated. We will also analyze Apple Incorporated's appetite and maturity towards risk management. In conclusion, recommendations will be made for possible future strategies that could be adopted by the organization. Before delving into the strategic and non-strategic decisions Apple has made, first some background information. This will assist with understanding how Apple came to be. Established April 1, 1976, prior to its current date title Apple Incorporated, the innovative corporation was formerly known as Apple Computer Incorporated. Despite its current market status in the world, the organization saw many changes throughout its timeline before reaching multinational success. As Apple Computer Incorporated, the primary focus was on the release of computers. During this period, it saw the come and go of Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak in 1987, the original inventors of Apple. After the departure of the original founders of Apple, future computer systems were not as successful as its market competitors, seeing many internal changes to the computer systems as well as appearance. With only the original computers invented by Jobs and Wozniak selling, Apple Computer Incorporated came close to failure. But in 1996 saw the return of Steve Jobs to Apple Computer Incorporated, and with this came major change. This saw the change from Apple Computers Incorporated to its now current date title of Apple Incorporated. The return of Jobs saw the rise of the organization. The world saw change, innovative new products keeping true to the original company logo, think different. According to Johnson, since returning to Apple, everything Steve Jobs touches seems to turn to gold. So now that Apple's background has been established, it is now time to look at what brought Apple to reach such success, therefore leading us on to Apple's strategic decisions. But first of all, what is strategic management? Strategic management is the process by which managers of a firm analyze the internal and external environments for the purpose of formulating strategies and allocating resources to develop a competitive advantage in an industry that allows for the successful achievement of organizational goals. Leading on from this definition, when analyzing the organization, it has been established Apple has a firm understanding of market opportunities, as can be seen with a wide range of products already on the market, the resources available to meet the demands of its consumers, and execution which generates profit. The question that remains is how the multinational organization arrives at this understanding, leading to success. This is only made apparent by the analyzation of Apple Incorporated's strategic management decisions. What can be considered a step into the future of what was to come from Apple Incorporated was the release of the iPod. For the creation of the iPod, a differentiation strategy can be applied. According to Henry 2011, a differentiation strategy is aimed at a broad market and involves the organization competing on the basis of a product or service that is recognized by its consumers as unique. To understand the process as to how Apple Incorporated arrived at this decision to produce the iPod using a differentiation strategy, the application of a business model, Omay's 3 C's model, is used. This stands for customer, competitors, and corporation. So first we look at customers. Before Apple Incorporated entered into the portable player device market, there needed to be a reason. Apple recognized there was an open gap in the market. The question remains as to how. Jobs stated in 2011, "We love music, and it's always good to do something you love. More importantly, music is a part of everyone's life. Music has not been around forever. It will always be around. This is not a speculative market, and because it is part of everyone's life, it is a very large target market all around the world. It knows no boundaries, but interestingly enough, in this digital revolution, there is no market leader." So following on to its competitors, Apple Incorporated, as stated previously, took a differentiation approach to analyze its competitors. Not only did it analyze its branded competitors, Creative, Sonic Blue, and Sony, but each of the devices across the market on all portable music devices. So what separated the iPod from all devices across the range? Well, it could hold over 1,000 songs, it was a revolutionary size which was described as ultra portable, and what separated it entirely from its competitors was ease of use, with the invention of the scroll wheel, which allowed the customer to literally scroll through their songs. So how did they produce this? The final stage of the 3Cs model is corporate. Who was the team who produced this product? This team consisted of the highest ranked Apple employees in their field to make the impossible possible. So what were the results? Following the release of the iPod, by 2006, global sales of the iPods reached 40 million, with more than 1 billion tracks sold through the iTunes Music Store. Reaching such success with the iPod produced the question as to where the multinational organization would go from there. Apple Incorporated answered this question with the release of the iPhone. To better understand the strategic decision-making process of the iPhone, the application of McKinsey's 7S framework is used. According to Capon 2008, all components of the framework, strategy, skills, staff, styles, systems, structure, and shared values are all equally important and interconnected. So starting off with strategy and shared values, for the release of the iPhone, the application of a business strategy is applied. This deals with how an organization is going to compete with a particular industry or market. It is concerned with how the organization will achieve a competitive advantage over its rivals. So the vision that Jobs had was to reinvent the phone, and much like the iPod, produce a device which other competitors could not compete with. Apple Incorporated established that neither of what its competitors had to offer on the market was what Apple Incorporated wanted to produce, stating in 2007, what we want to do is make a leapfrog product that is way smarter than any other mobile device that has ever been created and is super easy to use. So following on from this, making use of structure, skills, staff, and systems, in order to achieve set objectives, Apple Incorporated needed a skilled team to be able to make the iPhone change from concept to reality. Due to lack of information released by Apple Incorporated, it was not possible to obtain direct access to staff or team members allocated for the production of the iPhone. In this situation, it can be assumed, like with the production of the iPod, Apple Incorporated made use of employees at the top of their field internally and externally, bringing in staff for the production of the iPhone. The final element of the 7S framework is style. The final style refers to the kind of leadership behind the iPhone. CEO Steve Jobs was this man. Albeit a visionary, very few got the opportunity to work alongside him. From the few that had this experience, most claimed a very autocratic approach. Following the account of Griganon in 2013, he described his experience as intense. Now, it could be said that this kind of leadership was the reason behind his departure in 1987. But whilst the original board of directors in 1987 determined that this style was obstructive to their strategy, it could be argued that his behaviour was driven by the pursuit of perfection, and it was this pursuit of perfection that enabled Apple to be the company that it is to current date. The next section we move on to is non-strategic management. Part of this means making non-strategic decisions. According to Wright and McCann, by non-strategic decisions we mean determinants of practices that are not the result of rational strategic decision-making process, but rather derived from forces in the firm, meaning the difference is that strategic decisions are decisions for the long term, affecting profit and reputation. Non-strategic decisions are everyday occurrence decisions within the organization that do not require assessment. Here are some examples of non-strategic decisions: reaching department goals, hiring of employees, employee promotions, and quality of products. An example of a non-strategic decision made by Apple Incorporated is performance-related pay, rewarding employees based upon their efforts within the workplace. This can come in various forms such as pay bonus, promotion, praise, and extra holiday. The use of the rewards assists with the promotion and acknowledgement of the employee, which ends in the positive result of promoting hard work. The second non-strategic decision which can be applied to Apple is their quality of products. With the increase in popularity and release of such unique products such as the iPod and the iPhone, Apple Incorporated must maintain all products be of a high standard in order to assure all products meet set guidelines of the use of the ISO 9000 quality management, which can be used. The ISO 9000 family addresses various aspects of quality management and contains some of ISO's best known standards. The standards provide guidance and tools for companies and organizations who want to ensure that their products and services consistently meet customer requirements and that quality is consistently improved. From initial design concept through to the final design, product and software, throughout the production cycle and logistics of ensuring sufficient quantity of the product is available to its customer base at the right place and at the right time, the right price, and sold to the customer by knowledgeable staff. The next section we move on to is risk management. As with any organisation comes risk. Apple Incorporated is no exception. Risk management comes with the good and bad outcomes, but nevertheless is critical. So what is risk? According to Sadgrove, risk is the discipline for dealing with the uncertainty. Following this definition, due to the recognition of Apple Incorporated's products and services worldwide, a main focus for their risk appetite will be on reputation, which according to Larkin is essentially a reflection of how well or badly different groups of interesting people, stakeholders, view a commercial name. So within evaluating Apple Incorporated's reputation management, there comes a focus on Steve Jobs as the visionary of Apple. As CEO of Apple Incorporated, his departure and sad loss in 2011 in a battle to cancer left the question as to how Apple Incorporated will proceed in the future. The answer to this was Tim Cook. Many speculated the decision as Jobs was branded irreplaceable, and since the arrival of Cook, Apple has lost leadership in mobile technology, resulting in 5% fall in shares. With all these surrounding issues leading to the damage of Apple Incorporated's reputation, raises the question of was there an investment of the organisation in the future of one man? If so, this is key person dependency. Now, one could argue that whilst it is generally undesirable to have a key person risk, it has been noted by many that it is just that very risk that made Apple successful. Clearly no human being could live forever, resulting in this very risk was bound to materialise. Another question raised is also as to whether the Apple products people purchased were Apple Incorporated or Steve Jobs, i.e. eradicate Steve Jobs, and what are you left with? It was a risk Apple Incorporated were forced to accept. In conclusion to this presentation, the question which could be asked is what lies ahead for the future of Apple Incorporated. With no clear targets being set or released, in these circumstances recommendations can be made for possible future strategies which can be implemented by the corporation. In order to make recommendations, a SWOT analysis has been produced to establish the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats which face Apple Incorporated. The first recommendation of Apple Incorporated is the innovation of the phone to regain mobile technology leadership over its competitors. In the past, Apple Incorporated has built upon the release of the first iPhone, changing systems internally with minimal change in appearance to keep up with rapid changing technology. But as of recent, seeing the loss in leadership with little innovation to the product produced the question of does the iPhone need change? The second recommendation is delving into a new market sector. As can be seen from the history of Apple Incorporated, the innovation of new concepts is what brought the corporation to success. As currently there is no release of the new concept, this could be an idea which could be built on. Not only would this keep true to the corporation's logo Think Different, but maintain leadership in innovation. Thank you for listening to this presentation.